Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, if any of you eat, on a somewhat regular basis, at least once or twice a day, and you pay for the food that you eat, you're probably noticing that despite what the Biden administration has been trying to tell you for the last couple of years, food prices are actually getting worse, not better. There's multiple reasons. I'm not going to go into all of them in this video, but one of the biggest reasons right now with a couple of big things is this H5N1 that I've been talking about. I know some of you have no interest in it whatsoever, but I think it is of great concern. Even if it never becomes a human pandemic, it's already a pandemic in the animal world. Right now, egg prices are 97.5% higher, almost 100% higher than they were last year. Egg prices have already been high for the last few years, but it's just getting worse. Beef prices are at nearly an all-time record high. The cattle herd is the smallest it's been in many decades. It's getting worse. And a lot of those two things are because of the amount of, there's things like grain, increase of prices and grain that you feed them with, all this kind of stuff. But a couple of reasons is because of this H5N1. And it's just getting worse. Just in the last 24 hours, there's been several things in the news that may not be front page, but it's certainly out there. Montana and a few other states have what they say confirmed cases of it in wildlife. England, Canada, Prince Edward's Island, California has several cases in house cats, domestic cats. That they've been getting a lot of these, and they've had a few more. And it seems to be very, very lethal in house cats. And up in Washington State, there's a big cat reserve, and there's been 20 of those big cats died so far because of what they say is H5N1, and they're saying well over half to 2/3 of the cats that live on this big reserve have all been infected. So it's expanding quite a bit. We're hearing almost daily now, all over the world, of different poultry, farms, duck, chicken, turkey that's getting it. I even saw today that pelicans in Kansas. I didn't know Kansas had pelicans. I think it's at a zoo or something. But pelicans in Kansas now have it. The World Health Organization spoke up, and they are strongly encouraging farms and ranches to implement biometric security and surveillance on their farms so that they can track this better and get ahead of it. I know that there's some highly advanced, technologically advanced farming out there. I'm not that slow. But I can tell you from around here, just getting the farmer around here to know how to use a cell phone half the time, or if they have internet on their property, is going to be an accomplishment. Getting them to install biometric security and surveillance systems, that's absurd, not to mention the cost of that. But the point is that we're seeing, once again, this big brother government coming in, and they're going to offer this solution, right? And if they're pushing biometric and surveillance security measures on farms because it's spreading amongst animals, what are they going to do when it starts spreading more easily amongst human populations? Because it'll eventually get there. The case up in Canada was a fox, I believe. I've seen some cases of horses, and pretty much all the pathologists that have talked about this are saying that it needs to, for this thing to really start to grow and expand, if it passes through some pigs. And the reason is that bird flu and human flus, they don't easily do this with each other, but once they go through a pig, it typically mutates and it becomes very easily susceptible in humans. So if we start seeing, any type of swine picking this stuff up, that may be the end. Now, of course, that's assuming that it goes through a natural progression, natural mutations. I still think that this is being toyed with, just like the last one, but hey, that's just my opinion. Thing is that it's growing, it's spreading. And like I said in the beginning, even if it never really becomes a big problem for humans, it's obviously becoming a big problem for animals. And the reaction is to just euthanize everything, right? One bird amongst, hundreds of thousands of chickens in some kind of, farm may test positive, and they just kill them all. And I think that there's, manipulation and control being done there for our food supply. I think that there's a purpose there. It's not just, oh, we got to be safe. I think that there's more to it there. But the main thing is that this thing is growing. And it's the last couple of days, I've seen a couple of articles and stuff talking about how the government, not just our government, but all governments, have really dropped the ball on this. The CDC, the World Health Organization, they've really just dropped the ball. They were asleep at the wheel. They were focused on wars and elections and economy, and they just, let this one slip by them. I mean, for crying out loud, we just got done with COVID, and they should have been on their toes, but they haven't been. Shame on governments. That's actually the stuff that's been saying. I mean, I'm paraphrasing it, but that is what's been saying. And so, again, I see it kind of being set up of, wow, this is a lot worse than we thought. And the government was kind of, slacking off because people were so sick and tired of the COVID stuff. And that people were just irate about the restrictions and all that kind of stuff from COVID, that the government was really hesitant about jumping in on this one so soon after COVID, that they just kind of laid low just to see what would happen. And then they messed up, because now it's really spreading and it's really bad. So that's why we have to have this. I'm not so certain that that's exactly what's going to happen or be said, but I think it's quite possible. And so it's like the government has purposely said, oh, you know what, we're just gonna hang back on this one for a while, right? We're gonna hang back and see what happens. And now that it's pretty much everywhere, it's in every state, it's all over the place. There's been multiple human contacts, infections with this, and some really serious ones. At some point, now that there's this outcry, right? Shame on you, government, for not protecting us. Well, we were doing this because you were so upset about COVID. We were doing what you want. Oh, you want us to protect you? All right, here we go. And then that's when things will start getting crazy and bad. So, I know some of you, certainly not all, some of you are focused on holiday stuff. The rest of you, you're not into that, and for various reasons, and I'm not getting into that in this video. But I know that there's a lot of distractions going on with stuff. Some people are still talking about UFOs. Other people talking about this or that, or what Trump is doing and his new, presidency, and all of this stuff that's going on. But I recommend highly that you not disregard this H5N1. I don't think you should just ignore it. In a few weeks, a few months, if it starts to fizzle out, maybe it's peaking, and this is the worst it's going to get. And then in a few months, it'll kind of fizzle away, and that's it. That's possible. But right now, it seems that it is getting to that point to where it's just going to be a breakout, and it's going to really start spreading. And if that doesn't happen, that's great. We'll move on. But isn't it smarter, based on what we've learned over the last 4 or 5 years, that we should probably go ahead and start gearing ourselves up, because we're watching this happen in real time right in front of our eyes? Wouldn't it be foolish to do nothing? Whether or not this is a real legitimate illness or not, we know, based on our experiences, that it doesn't take a real dangerous, deadly illness to cause panic and to cause government oversight and boots on our neck kind of thing. So I would suggest that you take appropriate precautions. Stock up, get ready, like I've said, have stuff on hand in case it is really a sick one, and then have a game plan. Because if this does become a full-fledged pandemic, I suspect they're going to try to make it worse than the last one. You know, that was the beta test. Maybe now this is the real one. So get ready, get your houses in order, prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.